this is Joyce Polino Crane. I'm the news director at WestfordCAT, and I am here today with a good friend of mine, Jody Marchand. Hi, Jody.
Hi, Joyce. How are you?
I'm doing fine. We're here today to talk about the activities that you're involved in. You are the founder of the Live for Live Foundation, and you have since then, since that dreadful day many years ago, you've become a domestic violence activist. And I've been along for the ride for quite a while, so I think everyone out there should know that
I'm fortunate to say.
yes, and I'm fortunate to have been there, that I have been involved in Live for Live and probably always will have some foot in the door for it. It's a very important, incredibly important topic that I wish more people would pay attention to. So Jody, you had a life-changing event, which for people beyond this town of Westford, can you tell us briefly your story, which I know is hard to tell? I'm so sorry to ask for it.
Thank you. No, I mean, I'll tell it. I'll talk about it to whoever will listen, who hasn't heard about it. February 1st, 2010, my life was changed forever. I was years of emotional abuse, so although you might not realize it, but it's about power and control. And they have control over various aspects. Everyone's situation is different, but now looking back, I've got a million woulda, shouldas. I see it. But anyway, he knew he was losing control. I worked late that night because I was a loan officer and very often had to meet people after work. They were buying a house. So I got home, I went upstairs, I changed in my pajamas, I came downstairs looking for something to eat, and he was in the family room and started yelling at me because we had a fight the previous day. And so I went in and started yelling back, but he, out of anger, got up and started choking me, had me against the wall choking me. And I literally thought, this is it.
Was this something he'd ever done before?
No, no. No, never like that. And so when a tragedy happens there, I think probably because people are not aware of all the various signs of domestic violence, people assume it's years of physical abuse, and it was not. And he was a hunter. We had guns in the house. It didn't bother me, but it's power and control. Whether it's control over money, control over, if you go out with friends, or it's a pie. It's power control, and then it's various slices of that pie. And that's where I was at. I was not in the physical slice, so to speak. But when they know they're losing control, which is what happened to me, they're very often will lose it in some way, in some form. I mean, what happened to me is certainly not what, thank goodness, happens to everyone else. But there's other people. There's some serious issues that happen out there. So anyway, so he was very angry. I had asked him for a divorce 2 weeks prior, and I think he just was losing it. He knew he was losing control. Anyway,
you asked for a divorce? Did you just say you had asked?
Prior, I needed help from him for something financial, and I just needed him to sign a loan, not be on the loan, but just sign, because it was an equity line. And he wouldn't go with me to sign, and I was begging him. But he wanted control, and he was saying no. And I was literally begging. And finally I said I want a divorce. And I'm telling you, the relief I felt, Joyce, you can't imagine.
Oh, really?
That's why. So 2 weeks later is when this tragedy happened. I could go everywhere, all over the place. Anyway, 2 weeks later is when this happened. He was angry. He started to choke me, which they say is one of the last, it gets worse and worse and worse. And that's one of the most serious, where you know you gotta get out.
Yeah, that's a symbol. I think I've heard this. If someone starts choking you, it's a symbol of
get out.
You need to get out. Yeah.
Because the next thing is then what happened to me. My daughter happened to come in the door.
You were upstairs?
Pardon me?
Were you upstairs or downstairs?
I was downstairs because he had let go. And so I immediately called 911, which anyone would do. But then I immediately hung up
Yeah.
because I knew the anger it would cause. And I was afraid. So in the meantime, my daughter walks in and I said, we got to get out of here. I mean, she was so happy. An intern, a senior in high school, ready to graduate. Never will I get over this ever for the rest of my life. And I said to her, we got to go. But you know what? I had my pajamas on. And the biggest mistake that I will forever blame myself is that I went upstairs to change out of my pajamas. Now, whether I was in denial, I don't know what comes over me or what came over me, but forever I will live with this. And I went upstairs to change out of my pajamas so we could leave. In the meantime, so I went upstairs, the police called. My daughter said, everything's fine, we're fine, everything's fine. I go upstairs to change. She's waiting for me, leaning against the bureau. My husband comes up with a gun. He shot and killed my daughter. I went to go towards her. The bullet entered my left temple when he shot at me. It went through my jaw, shattering my jaw, where I will have pain forever. And the bullet now sits in my right shoulder forever.
That's horrible.
It is my before and my afterlife.
Yeah.
And my mission is to keep her memory alive and to do anything I possibly can to help anyone in any way, shape, or form. And fortunately, we have a group of a board of directors for the Live for Live Foundation, of which I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because you have been there since day one. And thank you. And I've had some fantastic people that, and I have there's some newer members that are also doing a great job. So everybody has their place. They're very strong, and I'm very fortunate, very fortunate.
Yes, and you've raised quite a bit of money over the years. Initially, you started out with a bicycle ride in July. Remember that way back? And you just wanted it to be a happy day for, in remembrance of Olivia.
Best day of the year. Best day of the year. And the thing is that someone had said to me that, of course it would be popular, a good turnout at the beginning because of the event
it was raw and current.
Exactly. And many people were, because she was ready to graduate high school. So family knew what would happen. So someone had told me once that it would be big, the event would be big for a few years, and then it would slowly, go down in numbers. And it's stayed the same number, if not bigger, every year. I'm happy to say. So it's a great day.
Tell us how you did it this year, because obviously, due to the pandemic, you couldn't have a road race and you couldn't have a bike ride.
I know. The 4-H Fairgrounds this year wouldn't let us in. And
no ice cream for all. Darn it.
So we did the virtual, and it was kind of honestly, I had Mary McCauley who came up and with the idea, and she's such, it's overwhelming at first, and she could said, this is how we're going to do it, and here's the plan, and we did it, and it turned out really well.
Yeah, it's a ton.
Because it's the 10th year, Joyce, of losing Olivia. It's the 10-year anniversary date. We made it a virtual 10-day event, and I added the 10K run. And we added a Titan 10 for kids, where they had three activities each day they could choose from. And
so would people just go off and do it on their own? Is that how it works?
On their own. So in other words, this year I did the 23-mile bike ride, which I never did. Okay, never.
And so, did people pay to get to participate?
Yes, it was the event. If you wanted to do the 10K or 5K run or the bike ride, it was $30. Now, if you could get sponsors and you could raise money, fabulous. We had teams that were raising, a good amount of money. And then we added the Titan 10, which was for mainly for kids, and that was only $10. And they said each day we gave them, you could pick from an activity and send in the photo or video of your kid doing it. And so we had a raffle, and we had it for adults as well, where we were able to get some generous sponsors and people giving us raffle items. So we were able to pick names for people that sent in photos of kids or adults. So I got in a photo with a fellow bike rider. So we actually, I think we picked her name. She was lucky enough to get a pick out of the raffle. So because she sent a picture of she and me together.
How lovely. And I think you were starting to say before that usually almost every year you rode in the 5K, you ran in the 5K, but
Yes.
this year you switched to a bike.
Yes, my knees aren't what they used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I can do it. I just don't want to.
Probably
But,
a life.
yeah, it was a great 10 days, and not only was it fun, but we made, because the expenses were less and we still had a great turnout for a virtual event. So we were able to raise $18,000, and that's thanks to participants, thanks to sponsorship.
Phenomenal.
So
That is amazing.
it truly is amazing, Joyce, and it honestly, I can't explain the happiness I feel and the joy knowing there's people that really care out there.
Yeah.
And they're caring for something that is a serious, serious problem. And I would say, especially right now, because if you're a victim, you are stuck at home.
Right. I worry about that often for people who are, struggling in relationships. I think that's very concerning.
Totally. And, I mean, it's the number is something like 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men that are victims of whether it's physical or emotional abuse. But you can imagine with the stress of not working and someone being there 100% of the time, I just can only imagine what some of these families are going through, and I feel for them. And,
for a while there was a spate of news reports almost every month where some spouse had killed the partner, and it was it was almost beginning to sound like an epidemic to me. I do think that we need to pay much more attention to these events, and as a society, I mean, and find solutions.
It is, it's we hear about very important things. There's events for cancer, much needed. So I say, of course, much needed. But domestic violence is a thing that people just, I don't know if they don't believe it's happening in their area or town or, I mean, my family, they didn't see it. They didn't, I mean, obviously it wasn't perfect, but if my family didn't see it, you know what I mean? So, but maybe you don't want to see it. I don't know, but it needs to be talked about because it is so common in our world, in our society. And yet, what do you hear about it? Not much.
Not much. But you've got money that you've raised in past years, and now another 18,000. What is the goal for the money?
Well, currently we have two goals, basically, I would say. One in the short term is if there's someone, and I'll use an example, if there's someone that is so afraid they've got to get out of their property or their apartment or whatever it is that they're in with their partner.
Mm-hmm.
Very often, if they haven't been allowed to work or they may not have access to the money, how are you going to pay the rent?
Right.
Or maybe you have a job, but you can't come up. I know myself, it's scary because you've got to come up with first month's, last month's security,
And that's thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, that 18,000, some of that is going into an account that we have so that we can help someone with that, because if someone said to me, Jody, we're going to give you enough money to get out, and and I had a job, so I could pay the rent. It was that lump sum. It just you already have fear. That just adds to your fear. But I'm telling you, Joyce, if someone said, "Here's, we're going to help you," I'm telling you, I would have stayed at that new place. I would have woke up the next day. The relief I would have felt, I would have gotten 2 more jobs if need be to pay for that place. And I believe my daughter would be alive today.
So I hear you, and I understand what what the thoughts are.
Yeah.
And it's so
So
hard.
that's our plan, short term, I'd say, if you want to call it that. I mean, unfortunately there's many cases. I have another one in the works right now, and so we do have money for her as well. Very often they own a house, and so as things get settled, someone may not have money now, but once the house sells, then so we've got to do something for the interim.
Yeah.
And our long-term goal is we have money, an endowment account, because hopefully not too long from now, we'll own property that we're going to call transitional. Because if you're somewhere that you've got to get out, but you've never been allowed to work, you need to get trained for a job. But you need to,
Yeah.
where are you going to live if you don't have a job? And how are you going to get trained? You know what I mean?
It's a catch-22.
That's just, what do they call that? Catch-22, so to speak.
Yeah, I want to convey what someone said to me, because I was once in a relationship that was increasingly becoming seriously
Dangerous.
scary. Yeah. One of the things that I was told by a counselor at a shelter is, gather up your Social Security card, the original, so that you have it, and a toothbrush, and make sure that when you go for a job, the first thing they're going to ask for is that Social Security card, and you cannot get a job without having that in your hand. So
very good point.
Compartment.
Very good point. And I've also heard recommended. In fact, I have heard when you speak at things, very often people will come up and say, "This is what happened to me," or I've had people say, "I'm worried about my daughter," but all you can do is let them know you're worried. But anyway, this woman that had to get out of her house, she put a bag together with her Social Security card, with some cash, little by little. And so it was a bag that she had hidden somewhere with, it had, some money in it. And like you say, a toothbrush, things like that, so that she was able to, when she got out, her daughter came and got her, and she had this bag ready.
Thank goodness.
With her.
I think you'll remember this. I hope that someday there'll be a little bit of money set aside, so that if a couple is arguing, one of them needs to just get out of the house. It's, so that they can go to a hotel and stay free without spending a fortune on it. But just to get the two parties away from each other for that night. Because sometimes people reconcile and it's fine, but there's a danger point in a relationship when there's arguing.
Well, there absolutely is a danger point, and I believe what happened to me is because he had known he was losing control. But that's the thing is, I remember once running out the door and going to a hotel, and again, I woke up in the morning and I just can't even explain the relief that was felt. But so very often, the abusive person, you think things are going to get back together okay, and they're not.
Yeah.
They do not. The number is, out of 100% of abusive partners, 95% do not change. It takes extreme, intense therapy, and it's a known fact that 5% will can rework themselves into a more healthy relationship. So
that's low, very low.
An abusive partner is what's that word? It's about narcissism. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. It's all about them. They don't remember things the way they happened. It's all your fault, and you start to believe it.
Yeah.
And you think, well, maybe if I had done this or that, it would get better. Or I remember one time something happening, and he, we were in an accident in his truck. He was mad at me and he slammed on the gas, and the truck went off the road, and my daughter was in the middle, thank goodness, and but only young, like 10 years old, but he was angry, and that's what he did. And luckily nobody got hurt, but he didn't get arrested for drinking and driving. I don't know why, because he wouldn't let me drive the truck, which I should have, again, another word of should have. Anyway, the point is, I thought, okay, now he gets it. He's going to change.
You didn't change.
No, they don't believe there's anything wrong. They think everything's your fault, or they don't see it. So believe me, if you're in a situation, it won't get better without intense therapy.
Yeah.
I know this.
I think both women and men need help.
Exactly, because it's not abusive. Abuse does not happen to just women. It happens, and it doesn't happen in certain neighborhoods. It happens in all income levels, all types of relationships. It doesn't matter where you're from. What your background is. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. No.
People have that assumption where they assume it's happening in all these, oh, I'm not from a low income, area, or, people think, oh, because that person's a successful, attorney, they would never be like that. And they come across as so wonderful. Everybody loved my husband. He was the fun guy. And that's how it is. So my own family was shocked. So.
It'll never, we'll never stop shaking our heads over that.
Yeah, it is, and people react differently. There was a shooting 2 weeks prior to what happened to me here in Westford.
That's right.
And
another couple in Westford, yes.
Yeah, they were like very close in that time period, and the woman's mother and father came to take care of the kid, live with the children, because the husband went to jail for murdering his wife. So, but her mother didn't do what I'm doing, but that everyone can handle it a certain way. And I'll honestly, for 10 years, it's been very hard for me to change the ride run. It's been very family oriented. We could have made a lot more money with, because of the barbecue we had for free. And after 10 years, I'm finally, I'm like, Olivia is here. It's all about Olivia. However, it really is now all about this mission that I have of help, I will help other people get out of bad relationships. Live for Live is getting bigger.
Yes.
Thanks to help from residents, from sponsors, though.
Yes, and also I think you're getting more speaking engagements out and about in the Boston region. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, which I'm happy about. And I always say this, and I'm not very positive. I'm very happy about being able to speak. You ask me, I'm there. Okay, I will speak to anyone, and I'll go anywhere. However, my only thing about speaking is, why do I'm able to speak to some senior class at Westford Academy, where Olivia was due to graduate, and there's a class that's some type of criminal law class, and I get to speak to the seniors during the fall, usually the upcoming fall season. But I don't know. I can't see myself speaking at school this year, unfortunately, based on all the craziness. But my point being, why am I not in this? I met my husband, I was 19. My daughter had a boyfriend, because when you live it, you think I believe my father was emotionally abusive to my mother. I met someone he was like my dad. And I mean that in a good and not so good way. And I believe my daughter I know she did have a boyfriend that was, she was, again, he was controlling, and she thought she would be able to help him, in any way, shape, or form. So I think it's so important. Maybe had I heard something when I was younger in the high
Mhm.
school, I think even younger is better. But how do I get into the schools? I'm in shock that I am not able to get into. There are some classrooms, like I said, the criminal law. There's a woman that used to be a police officer here in Chelmsford,
Mhm.
and she's now she's a teacher at a high school in Concord, New Hampshire. So I
Mhm.
teach her class. But this needs to be told to young people, because
Mhm.
very often, whether it's one kid, one person in that group, someone might hear something, or you have a friend. This is what I always say. Could be you, could be your friend, could be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. It is so common. Why they do not have me in schools, I do not know. I know they want to focus on a healthy relationship. I understand, and I believe that's a good thing. But let's hear reality of, do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Don't get it.
Yeah. It is hard to reach the younger people except through the
Well,
schools. And I think, the schools have
I mean, they have
on
things,
their
they have, right,
shoulders.
their gym, believe me, I know there's things they have they've got a full plate, I guess is what you'd say. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's maybe one day after school in the whole school year. We could get a group. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just know I can't imagine that you would want kids hearing about it, because maybe it could help someone not be in the type of situation that happened to me.
Yeah. Yes. Never want to see that happen again.
It's like something's not quite right, but you're not sure, or you think they're going to change, or they make it sound like it's your fault. I mean, there's so many things, and like I said, had I heard someone speak, I would have known. No, I'm not. I It's for real.
Tell us what your mission is at Live for Live.
So my mission is to, well, it's the mission is to help, as I said, short term, whether it's helping with with rent, or something, to get them out of the house, out of their home, out of danger, I should say. Um, and then, of course, the long term is the transitional housing. But we need to raise money to do this. So that's, we had the virtual ride run, which was fabulous. And as I said, we were able to make a good amount of money that helps go to help people. In the meantime, we have other ways that we're looking now to make money and to keep Olivia's name out there and to keep the subject out there. October happens to be Domestic Violence Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I guess you would call it. So Live for Live is going to, what our plan is during that month is to have restaurants give a percentage of your meal, have the proceeds go to Live for Live. So as you've probably heard about these, you go to a local restaurant, the bill comes, you pay it, and the restaurant donates
20.
20%, 15. Some are very generous at 20%. Others will do 10 or 15. And so we're going to have a whole list of restaurants, hopefully for the whole month. So I'm going to be out there at the restaurants, and I'll tell you, there's some really good people out there, and that are with me year after year. And you think, oh, I think they're probably saying, oh gosh, here she comes again. But honestly, what kept me going and continues to keep me going, Joyce, is the kindness out of people's hearts, and being there for me, and being there knowing it's a good cause and much needed. I thank goodness for the hearts of these people, because you just think the world's such a horrible place. But then there's people like you, and you realize it's not, there's some good people out there in the world. isn't just about bad people.
Well, you've come a long way, Jody, for sure.
Well, thank you so much. But thank you.
So you talked a little bit, I don't know if you talked a little bit about a possible grant you're applying for from the company doTERRA?
Yes, one of the board members, Eileen Ladwig, she sells the product, doTERRA product, which is basically, now I'm not a salesperson for doTERRA, so she can explain it a lot better than me, but it's a product that's all natural, and it's oil drops, and you can put them on your skin and inhale them for various purposes. Maybe you're the type like me that gets very, unfortunately, due to my injury, I have nasal issue. So they have this fantastic oil you put on, and it helps clear up all that nasal passages and that kind of thing. And then there's other oils that you can put in an aromatic, blows out this oil.
A scent, yeah, from the oil.
Yeah. Thank you. And so you put drops in this, and there's various drops that, to helps me to be more positive, as they say, and things like that. Anyway, she's part of this group called doTERRA, and we are working with them to hopefully that they will donate, or whether I call it a grant or donation of money, so that it will help us come up with money for our a goal of purchasing property to help victims. So it's very exciting. They could possibly donate up to $30,000, and so that's huge. So that's my mission now, is somehow, whether grants is the way to go, applying for grants. So I've got to learn how to write a grant, which is, I'm gonna,
your next project.
I'll talk to anybody. Now, writing is a whole another story. We may have to get someone that's strong at that. So,
yeah. But that would be well worth it. So,
absolutely.
We're going to wrap up pretty soon. Is there anything else that you want the residents of Westford and beyond Westford to know?
Please, absolutely, that there is help out there. I recently, a woman I know called, and she was concerned had very good reason to be concerned for her daughter. And so I went to the house and talked to her daughter. And as we talked, it's like, we get it. You know what I mean? I think, when no one gets it like someone that's unfortunately going through a similar situation. And so she needed someone to talk to, and she had fear. And so I helped her, and then we called the local shelter. And that helped her, because she had court in the morning
Goodness.
to extend the restraining order she had on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the shelter for help with that. So I say to you, I am out there to talk to anyone. If you're concerned about your situation or your friends or your relatives, I will go anywhere, literally. Well, in fact, I might not fly a plane right now, but maybe when things are more back to normal. But seriously, I will go anywhere and go speak to someone, because it does help. It's like they're saying to me, you get it, and
Certainly do. Who more than you would get it?
So I guess just I'll speak to anyone. I will do anything to help anyone, and that's what I'm here for. And I just want Olivia's name. I want my daughter to be remembered as not just a victim, but as someone that is working with her mom, that survived, and we're here to help others.
That's beautiful, Jody. What's your email so people can get in touch with you?
My email is my name, Jody, Marchan, as in Nancy, D as in David, 1 @hotmail.com.
Is there a hashtag next to the one, or just?
Oh, it's my name with 1 @hotmail.com.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so very much.
call you Joyce, and then you can give them my number.
Absolutely, and we'll probably put a
Oh,
slide down, a slide under you so that it'll be in writing as well.
thank you.
I so, you know, I honor what you do and
Thank you, Joyce. And
appreciate
I
it.
thank you.
And in
I,
case it wasn't, in case I didn't make myself clear at the beginning of this video, I am a former board member of the Live for Live.
you are still a board member. I don't care what you say.
Just letting me go.
You are stuck with me.
I will never leave you.
Yeah.
So take care.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Really, I really appreciate it, and I look forward to doing this again. I hope.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
glad to do it.
This month is coming out, and I'll hope to see you in the very near future.
Yeah, we're right down from each other.
Well, I'll make a plan.
Yeah, we'll go for a bike ride.
Oh yeah, that too, and then we'll go out to dinner after. How's that?
Yes,
I'd love to do a bike ride. That'd be great.
we love it. For WestfordCAT News, this is Joyce Polino Crane.